So, welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast, Scott. It's great to have you on the show.
It is great to be here, Cleanne. What a privilege today.
So, Scott, tell the listeners about you and what was the driving force of you becoming an author and a handyman?
Well, I kind of became an author by accident. I had been approached to write one of these books. There's these companies out there that go to people that are trying to create notoriety. They're really marketing pieces. And what they do, for example, in my case, they were approaching 10 to 15 coaches to tell and write maybe 700 to 1,000 words about something about the coaching industry, things you need to know about coaching before you hire a coach. And what these companies do is they go out and they mine these coaches and then they charge them. So they get 10 to 15 coaches. They charge them $1,000 to $3,000 each to get them in a book, and they create a book by these mini chapters and list all the coaches, and then all the coaches can go around and say, I'm a best-selling author, I'm an international author, and you get a little website, they put you on Facebook, they do an interview, and I mean, think about how massive that is. They just piece together this mini book with other people with 1,000 words from each person, slap it together, and they make $15,000 to $40,000 right off the bat before it's even been published. So I got approached to do one of those books, and my husband said to me, you shouldn't do that. You could write a whole book on this yourself. It's easy. You're smart, you're clever, you could go do it. And so we did. I sat down and I came up with a whole book myself, and that was my first book, 10 Things You Need to Know About Coaching Before You Get a Coach. And I literally wrote 900 to 1,000 words per chapter. So it was 8,000 to 9,000. I mean, yeah, about 10,000 words was the book. And that was how I got started. And since then, I've written 28 books. I'm now working on book number 29, which should be coming out in July.
Wow, what an accomplishment, Scott. So, Scott, you said that you coach clients to follow their true north. What do you mean by that?
We all have this pull of where we want to go. Each of you that are listening to this has a pull that is really your true direction. And it could be related to your career, it could be related to your relationships, it could be related to your leisure time, it could be related to your friends. You have this path that's pulling you that is true to you and no one else. And we have in our lives as we're growing up, our society, our culture, our parents, our religion, all these things put pressure on us to maybe go in a direction that isn't true to us. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that until they're almost over with their life. They don't navigate their life very well around these things. And then they wake up one day and they look back and they're like, oh my God, what happened to my life? How did this happen to me? And that's really unfortunate that happens to so many people. They get trapped in the wrong relationship, they get trapped in the wrong job, and they just stick to it because it's the only option they think they have. And I'm here to tell you that it's not the only option that you have.
So, Scott, apart from you writing and what other stuff do you do? Do you have a nonprofit animal rescue?
I
Is
do. How did you know that?
or do you just focus on books? Is
I
that
do have a nonprofit animal rescue. It's actually a nonprofit farm animal rescue, and we're not a sanctuary, so we work to rehome the animals that we get to safe and loving homes. And there's not many, it's challenging because there's not many people that do this for
Mhm.
farm animals. There's lots of dog rescues, there's
Mhm.
lots of cat rescues, but like, well, what do you do if you have a horse? Like, where do the horses go? Where do the pigs go? Where do the donkeys go? Where do the sheep go?
Mhm.
It's um it's really challenging. And then on top of that, as especially since COVID, this explosion of dogs and cats and pets, a lot of the vets, there's a shortage of vets. So the vets are focusing on dogs and cats because it's quicker, it's easier, it's more lucrative, right? They don't have to go out to somebody's house to visit a dog or a cat. They can just go ahead and, bring them on in, give them their shots, off you go. And that unfortunately makes the management hard
Mhm.
on top of the fact that there's not a lot of resources to do that. But for me, it's a very worthy thing because it's a hole in the system that I'm helping to fill with that. I also, besides doing that stuff, I teach Tai Chi. Uh, uh, and I'm a firefighter and I'm an EMT instructor and I paddleboard with my dogs. And in fact, let me see if I can find it. Do. These are like all the books that I've written. This just came out a couple months ago.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Sup with Your Pup. That is Groot and that is Rocket. And
Okay.
they are co-authors in the book.
Okay.
If you read the book, you
Okay.
will discover why they are co-authors. You will see the parts that they each have written. There's a conversation in every chapter talking about anything you need to know about paddleboarding, how to get your dog on the board, how to train them, all this stuff written by me and my two dogs.
Oh, wow.
Or
That's
maybe I should say written by them and their human tag along.
that's exciting. So this is your new book coming out. This one you just showed us.
No, this one came out a couple months ago.
A
The new
month.
book that's coming out in July is Cleared for Love, a co-pilot's guide to navigating relationships.
Oh, nice.
And that's kind of there should be a workbook with that. There should be an audiobook that goes with that, really geared towards helping people stay in the cockpit
Mhm.
of their relationship and not get up and jump out with a parachute when bad things happen and really focus on collaboration versus negotiation, uh, making a hard line in the sand or just, doing things without even asking permission, or it's already done. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I guess I just have to respond because you didn't involve me.
Mhm. So Scott, you've written all those books. When you write, do you write every day? Is it like a habit where you write a page every day or you write 2 pages every day?
No, I've failed at that. I have failed miserably at that. And I have really beaten myself up about that. We were just talking, Cleon, about following your true north.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wasn't, for years, I never did this because I don't know, somebody told me someplace this is what real authors do.
Mm-hmm.
Real authors write an hour every day. Real authors write 20 pages every day. Real authors, this is what Stephen King does. Stephen King writes I don't even know if that's true, but I've heard this thing that Stephen King writes for an hour every day and doesn't do anything else. For all I know, he might have a fleet of writers in his basement popping out these things, and he's just working as the concert director, getting them rolling. I don't know. But there's this myth of like, you know, and part of it's related to this. It's just ridiculous. There's this kind of image that coaches even put out there, and you probably heard this, right? I get up at 4 a.m. and I do yoga. Then I take a cold shower. Then I run for 5 miles. Then I read the entire New York Times. Then I practice meditation for 45 minutes. Then I have a coffee and then I drink some mango puree mixed in with kale and cucumbers. And then I sit down and write and my life is perfect, right? It's just, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Uh, so
Yeah, it doesn't seem realistic, but
no, no. So
Mhm.
now what I do is I write the same way I write the way that I eat pizza, which is I will start eating a pizza and next thing you know, I've eaten three-quarters of the pizza because it's so darn good and I just devour it. And so when I write, I will binge write for hours and hours and hours. And then if I lose passion or focus on something, I'll shift to another book and work on that.
Mhm.
And it just feels like it feels like I'm in a race. It
Okay.
feels like I'm in a car race, like, or I gotta get the car running. I gotta fix this. I gotta tweak that. Let's get going. And you just go and go and go and go, and then it's done. And that has worked out. I wish I had done that years ago. I wish I'd listened to my advice years ago. It's funny. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was having a difficult time, and she Googled G. Scott Graham
Hmm.
quotes
Hmm.
because I've written enough that now there's quotes by
Hmm.
me on the internet that you can
Hmm.
just Google G. Scott Graham and quotes, and there they are. And so she's like, I have some stuff to read to you. And so she's reading these. I have some quotes that might inspire you. And she's reading a quote about this and a quote about that. She goes, does this sound familiar? I'm like, where are you getting these from? She pulled them from the internet to inspire me.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's nice.
it is nice.
Yeah, so Scott, how can the listeners get in contact with you? Where can they find your books? Do you have any speaking engagements coming up or anything like that?
You can find me just by Googling G. Scott Graham,
Hmm.
which is, I don't know if this will show up backwards on this. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't know if that's right side up or back side up. But there's my name, G. Scott Graham. It's the same way on all the books.
Hmm.
And you can Google G. Scott Graham books, G. Scott Graham quotes. You could even Google G. Scott Graham podcasts, and most of the podcasts have my name in the title. And they show right up at the top because of that. And you'll have no trouble finding me by doing any of those pieces.
Okay. What's about your social media accounts? Do you have
I
any?
have a Facebook account. I'm on Twitter or X. Those are two pieces. I'm on LinkedIn, all easily to find me. Once you Google G. Scott Graham, you will see those accounts pile up right next to a big infographic about me that somehow even includes my birthday and where I was born. I don't know how Google found that out, but Google decided that people must want to know my birthday. So they have my birthday on there and my age which I don't care about, but it's really strange that that is what they focused on and pulled out to put there.
So, Scott, do you have any last words for the listeners about not looking back and regretting their lives?
Yeah, every day that you are alive, you are faced with a decision, many decisions throughout the day to live in alignment with the person that you are truly meant to be, that God meant you to be if you believe in God, that your soul is oriented toward. And when you face those choices, I want to challenge you to walk in the direction of that person that you want to be, that you know you want to be, despite what the world might be telling you, despite what your family might be telling. Push all that aside. Be courageous. Be courageous because we only have a certain amount of minutes in our life and they're ticking away. You
Mhm.
have just ticked away 20 minutes, maybe now, listening to us chat about this stuff.
Mhm.
Don't tick away anymore by living a life that is incongruous with who you really are.
Nicely said, Scott. Well, Scott, thank you for being on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Thank you.